Hello everybody, it's vanburman here. Welcome to the video today, and I'm posing myself the question answering the question, which is my favourite Final Fantasy game ever? Okay, now you probably may already know this because I have been asked it quite a few times, and there are a couple of noticeable absentees from it. The one why it's not that one. Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, of course. They are both running this top game very close. Final Fantasy 4 as well. Really enjoying that. I'm really looking forward to Type 0, but I don't really want to put a game in there that's not even done yet. So, well, not even been re-released on the Western market, you know, with English language and everything, but from what I've seen, very good. We also, of course, have Final Fantasy 13 not in there. But the game which I want to talk today about is Final Fantasy 9. That is my favourite Final Fantasy. The second best is probably 10, but 9 for me was the epitome. And it's a bit strange, really, that 9 would be my favourite one, seeing as the way Squaresoft looked at it was that they made it for the fans, but they also tried to make it a bit more Western as well, which, in certain aspects of it, which was a bit against the grain for me, because I'm very much a JRPG fan, really, as opposed to a Western RPG. And a lot of the stuff in there was throwbacks to previous Final Fantasies. A lot of the music is adaptations as well of older music, and it does everything really well. All the characters you can relate to. Probably Quina, you can't as much, but I don't know, it's sort of like the quirky character that people do have a little bit of feeling for, just in the way that character moves and talks, and just is a bit of a comic relief. I think you have to have that in there, but the rest of them you could really sort of understand their plight in all of this, and the different emotions that bring everyone together and allow everyone to form this group, this unlikely group, and really do end up looking out for each other. A lot of the stuff, of course, is taken from Norse mythology, but there's a lot of that in Final Fantasy 7 as well. You always get that when you've got the summons. So it just incorporated so much stuff. I mean, it had the summons as one of the main aspects of the storyline, which I really like. It also had a couple of bad guys, not just the one like in 7 where it's Sephiroth. I know you've got a bit of Shinra in there, but it's generally the only person you're really worried about is Sephiroth in that game. But Final Fantasy 9 did a really good job of making you think that every minor boss was a big threat, and that is quite a feat in itself, really. You did feel as though every battle was massively important, and you did feel there was a struggle as well, especially Freya's storyline. I really got into that. She was trying to defend her nation from obliteration by the Queen using Odin to destroy them. And it's just brilliant. It really was. Maybe it did tail off a bit towards the end. I mean, Zidane's sort of homeland was a bit on a pie in the sky, I guess, slightly. But I mean, the rest of it just amazing. It did everything well. It hit all the key points. Hit all the medieval fantasy bits that I really like. It had a very unique artwork as well, and it did it right within the text bubbles and the user interface. Everything was just set perfectly for that style of game. They even had the card game in it as well, an adaptation of 8's card game. Once again, I thought that was really synonymous as well with Final Fantasy. At that point, people got used to it in 8, and then they'd adapted it and made it sort of, very believable for 9. And I'm pretty much singing its praises far too much now. But one of the problems with 9 is it's not as accessible to everyone as pretty much all the rest of Final Fantasies are. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 on mobile devices, on PSP and PSN, of course. 7 and 8 are on PC and PSN as well. 9 is just on PSN, and 10 is on PSN and Vita, and obviously they did the remastered version, so it's on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, I think. So, you know, it is probably it's the game that is been built. It's a game that's been built for the fans, and yet at the minute it's being kept away from the fans. I've heard a lot of people say, you know, they really want Final Fantasy IX to come to PC. I don't see that happening at all in the slightest, ever, unless they did an actual remake of the game, like a HD remastered remake of some description. I don't see it coming to PC, because the thing about Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, of course some of you might already know this, but they were developed for the PC anyway, and what they did is went through, took out the bugs, increased the resolution on those games, and then re-released it for Steam on PC. So it was nothing new, it was always going to happen. But 9 was never made by Eidos for the PC. Anyway, I believe they started doing it, but then pulled the plug very shortly afterwards. So it was never actually made, never actually released, much to the detriment of the generation nowadays, because I think that people would really relate and get on with 9, especially. I don't know, I think I've had this discussion actually with a couple of people, and my idea is that people should play 9 first. I think 9 is the best game to get into Final Fantasy. You've got so many colourful characters in there. You've got people that you actually care about how the characters do. There's some things that happen during the game which are quite, you know, devastating at some bits, and add that tension to it, which, even though it's not voiced, that's another thing I want to mention. The music, as I say, some of it's taken from older Final Fantasies, but it does it really well. It's probably got one of my favourite tracks as well in a Final Fantasy game, which is Not Alone, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically the bit where Zidane tries to solo all the bad guys. But he can't do it because, at least my Zidane couldn't do it because he wasn't quite strong enough. He did need the help of the others around him. But, you know, there you go. Anyway, the discussion I was having with these people was that it's the best Final Fantasy to get into for those reasons. And they were saying, well, not really, because if you think about Final Fantasy IX, it is sort of a gift to the fans from the developers, and it's got bits taken from all these different Final Fantasies. I was saying, yeah, I do understand that point of it, but if people play 9 and then go and play the other bit, and then go and play the other games, they'll understand where the influences for 9 came from. So, in a sense, you could reverse engineer the appeal. I mean, obviously, I'm playing Final Fantasy 9 and I notice bits from Final Fantasy 4. Some musical tracks. There's definitely one musical track from Final Fantasy 3 that's in there. So, yeah. Also, the locations as well. But I'm not going to go into that because that falls into graphics and level design. It's all brilliant. It honestly is. If you sat down and made yourself play it for the first 3 hours, it's very difficult to put down. Just because it wants to keep you playing. It's like a good book. I don't read as a general rule. I read very rarely. But when I do find a book and it does suck me in, I really want to read it, and I pretty much will do that and nothing else. And that's how Final Fantasies used to grab me. So, it's a good book, Final Fantasy 9. If it was a book. Well, there you go. Now you know my favourite Final Fantasy and why, and just me gushing and gushing and gushing about it. Unfortunately, Squaresoft, you are no longer here to appreciate my gushing. Instead, I guess Square Enix has to take the plaudits for something that they didn't even do. Right, I'm out. See you later, guys. Goodbye.